a very much better way. Starting off with the system requirements. Please know, test is to be taken on the computer or laptop only. That too connected with a web camera, which must remain on throughout the test session. Second, a smooth and an uninterrupted internet connectivity is required. Online assessment is supported on these listed OS versions only. Detailed instructions regarding the same would be shared with you separately. Some of you might have received it already. Those who haven't, you will be getting a separate mailer with all the instructions mentioned in a much detailed way to help you understand all of this in a better way. Memory specs again is a system requirement. Connectivity with the hard disk is there. Also, lockdown browser here is an important point for you to note. In case you already have it on your system, you will have to reinstall it, or if you do not have it, you will have to install and update the lockdown browser. Next is you do not have to use your mobile phones to take the test, as this assessment is not supported on the mobiles. For all the users, please ensure that you disable all the pop-ups and notifications and close all the running apps while you are taking the assessment. In case of a power failure or an internet disconnection, you can resume the test, but if you get stuck at any point, you can use the option of resume incomplete test. This will help you to restart the test from the same place where you would have got stuck. Okay, so please ensure that you resume the test within 2 hours of your test being stopped, as otherwise you will not be able to resume the test. Also, please note that there are certain limitations on the attempts of resuming test. So do not resume or pause your tests until it is necessary or required. Next is, please ensure that your system date and time is updated correctly, because if not so, you will not be able to take up the assessment. You also have to disable if any VPNs are enabled on your system. Moving on to the next slide, these are some of the important points for all of you to note. 1. In case of any issue during the online assessment, we have a technical team to support you for that, link of which will be again shared in the mailer which we'll be sharing with you. Next, during the test, you might be asked to enable webcam or to allow access to webcam multiple times. Please ensure that you click on allow every time to enable the webcam. In case your test is interrupted during due to any of the technical issues, please log in again using the same link and the credentials, and you will be able to resume with the test without a worry. Also, please note that you have to log into the test within 2 hours of the start time. If not done so, you will not be able to take up the assessment. And be very careful that you have to be in front of the camera for the entire duration of the assessment. You're not supposed to leave your seat or wherever you're taking the assessment from during the course of the assessment. Make sure that wherever you're sitting in the proper lighted room and your face is visible. Avoid bright lights in the background. Ensure that the background wall is plain so that whoever is proctoring is able to see you clearly who is giving the assessment, right? And also, please be very careful that you have to ensure that you're not interrupted by the company of friends or family members or anyone else during the assessment session, as this is against the compliance. Moving ahead with next part, which is the assessment compliance guidelines. 1. Turning off camera at any point during the assessment is strictly unadvisable. You are not supposed to take help from any other person or a reading material, be it books, magazines, mobile phones, or any other instrument during the assessment. Except you, no one else should investigate or peep into your screen during the assessment. Moving on to the next part, this is about the SVAR's assessment pattern. I request everybody to please pay kind attention here as this is a very important thing for all of you to know. The SWAR assessment contains 7 sections: short questions, conversation, read and speak, listen and speak, fill in the blanks, correct the sentence, and free speech. Short questions, basically, you will be given some information on the screen, and basis that, you will have to answer the questions in full sentence based on the context of the question. This part will primarily have 3 such questions, and you will have to answer those. Conversation, as the name suggests, you will hear a description of a situation, probably a dialogue between two people. Following the description, you will hear a conversation dialogue. Listen to the dialogue and basis that, provide appropriate response to the questions being asked. Read and speak. In this section, a sentence will be displayed on the screen, which you have to read out loud. You will be given around 12 seconds to read the sentence. Once you have read the sentence, you can click on the submit button and move to the next sentence. Next is listen and speak. As the name again suggests, a sentence will be played which you have to repeat as is. You will be given 12 seconds to repeat the sentence. Once you have spoken the sentence, you can click on the submit button and move to the next sentence. There are gonna be 9 such questions in this section, followed by fill in the blanks. Very familiar. Again, some questions will be given. Basis your grammar and vocabulary related questions. You will have to fill in the appropriate words which you feel makes the sentence complete and answer it. Moving on to the next one is correct the sentence. Few grammatically incorrect questions will be there on the screen. You have to provide the correct response against each question, and that way you complete the answer to in a complete sentence. Free speech is the last section in the SWAR assessment. A topic is given on which you must speak for a duration of around 45 seconds. You will be given 30 seconds to prepare for the topic before you start speaking on the topic. This way, we just end with the SWAR assessment. All the sections are completed there. We now have a demo video for you. Vanshika, I request you to please click the video so our candidates here know how they have to go through the SWAR assessment. Yeah.
Vanshika, if video is playing in another tab, you may have to share that screen.
I'm sharing the screen once again. Just let me know once it's visible. I hope it's visible now.
It is.
Yes, it is.
It's not
Vanshika, I
audible.
can't
I think
hear
you need to
the video.
enable audio.
We have to untouch.
Vanshika, while sharing the screen towards your right, it will prompt you to share the system or desktop sound.
The options are coming to download or just picture in picture option. There is no sound option coming up. To try again.
Please try to download and then play if you get any
Sure.
options for sound.
Vanshika, when you're sharing a screen, you might find an option of including computer sound.
This is a demonstration of the spoken English assessment. At the start of the assessment, you will see a sample question. This is to check the compatibility of your device and will not affect your score. First, a sample audio will be played. If you can hear it clearly, then you can click on Yes and move to the next screen. Click Try again if you wish to listen to the audio again. To test your microphone, read out the sentence shown on the screen. Once the audio has recorded, click on the next button to proceed. You will see this pop up when the device testing process has been completed successfully. You can then start your test. If your device testing is not successful, ensure that your speaker, microphone and internet are functioning properly before you try again. There are multiple sections in this test. You will hear specific instructions at the start of every section. Some sections require you to record your answers, using a microphone. For example, in this section, you need to read out the sentence displayed on the screen. You may start speaking after the question has been read out. Once you have finished recording, click on the Submit Answer button to move ahead. Also note that the test will automatically move ahead if the question timer runs out. In some sections, you will be asked to answer some multiple choice questions. Once you have selected an option, click on the Submit Answer button. End of demonstration.
Okay, with this, we are done with the presentation. I think we can open the forum for Q&A if we could.
Sure. So we have this Q&A section part for all of you. I hope you have gone through the assessment guidelines and the demo video. Now, if you have any queries related to how the assessment would be, or you have any issues with the options or whatever modules would be there, you can please use the Q&A section. We can take up your queries one by one. This was all that we wanted to communicate from our end pertaining to how the SWAR assessment will actually look like. So we have the Q&A section for you. In the meantime, you can start putting down your queries in the chat box. In the meanwhile, I'm sharing you a link you can use as a matter of feedback survey for the session, and we can capture your responses. All those who are unable to click on the link and fill up the survey, I'm sharing one QR code. You can scan the QR code and embed your feedback for this particular session. Apart from this, if you have queries, please raise it in the chat box.
Papa ಇಲ್ವೇನಮ್ಮ? ಆಯ್ತು.
Vanshika, we already have some good number of questions. Would you like to read it out for Akshay?
Sure. So, Akshay, there is a first question. The candidate is trying to download the lockdown browser after clicking on the Windows. The link is showing an XML file does not appear. Same error is happening when he is trying to open using a Firefox, Chrome, or Microsoft Edge. XML file does not appear.
Okay, probably he needs to look at the correct link because there is a proper link for all the system related requirements, and also he need to checks whether any antivirus generally gets enabled, right? So in this case, this will not work. So as Kashish mentioned in her presentation, right, they need to disable all those VPNs. Antivirus package are installed and all, so that will help. If still issue persist, they must have got their emails for the SWAR assessment. In that, there is a chat support link mentioned. So that's kind of a chatbot where they can just get in touch with a customer support executive there and get it resolved. They will take required access and help you in resolving the issue.
Sure. And can the candidates use any sort of headsets or earphones to appear
Yes,
for
they
the
definitely have to use it considering this is a speaking and listening test. So there in some of the questions they required to hear from the whatever the system is coming up with the questions and need to respond after hearing those. So yes, headset and earphones are mandatory for this.
right? So in all, there will be 7 sections, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
All right. And what is the breakup of questions in each section? Can you just reiterate on that part?
Well, there's no fixed amount of numbers of questions in each section, but on an average, you can say that two, three questions for each sections, and it will vary, but not more than that. On an average, we can consider 3 to 5 questions for each, apart from the one where there is a topic given, right, and one needs to speak. So that will be only single question there in that section.
Okay. And I'm sure they would get some user ID and password before the actual date of assessment.
Yes, yes. Most likely, all of the candidates will get email from our side, which have all the required details, be it a system requirement, assessment pattern, lockdown browser links, assessment link, credentials, everything they will have it, and the video which I showed some time back. So that link is also there. So you can go through it before the assessment and make yourself comfortable with the overall environment.
Right. So candidates, you will get all the details on your email related to the credentials, related to all the videos that you can watch, or what is the demo video, or whatever is required. We will be sharing you a separate emailer. Just go through it once, read it very carefully, and it would be shared 2 to 3 days prior to the actual SWAR assessment when it is happening. I would request all of you to go through your emailers very carefully, and this is going to be your final round of assessment. There is no technical round or further rounds after the SWAR assessment. Once you clear the SWAR assessment, you will definitely be getting your offer letters if you successfully clear the final rounds. And this is not going to be any technical round. It is more or less related to your vocabulary and your communication assessments. And definitely, you have to use your earphones or headphones to appear for this particular assessment. So, Akshay, one more question. How much time would it actually take to complete the entire assessment?
20 minutes max. Though you can, once you respond to a question, you can click on next. But if you don't, maximum time is 20 minutes.
And the window would be open for 2 hours if they
Yes,
fail to appear in between. Okay.
right,
So
right.
20 minutes is to complete the entire assessment. If you are completing it before 20 minutes, that is also allowed. If you are stuck in between, you can resume your test from the same spot where it was stuck, and the window would be open for 2 hours at max. More than 2 hours, you will not be able to log in again into the assessment. You can use any sort of wired earphones or wireless earphones. It's just that you have to have some earphones because there would be listening questions as well. It is not necessary to log in before 2 hours. Once you get all the login credentials 2 to 3 days prior to the actual assessment, just go through it once so that you are not panicking at the exact point of your assessment duration. And 20 minutes is the window where you can complete the test very easily. So candidates are not able to download the software, the browser, due to some reasons.
I think they need to go through the instruction. They will once they get an email, right? So in that there's all the instructions given. They need to ensure that their system they are using it is compliant to that requirements, and then they can download it. In sometimes what happens if they are using college networks or on the other domain, then there may be a restriction on some of the sites or downloading the software. So they need to ensure that they are using their personal machines and the personal network so that there are no restrictions, be it from the public domain, college domain, or from the antivirus side.
All right, all right. And some candidates want a clarity on the short answer question sections. They just want to understand about the word limit or what would be the question type in the short question section.
So in short, question answers would be like something you are hearing. Let's say if I am asking, so at what time your flight is going to land, if I'm saying at 9 a.m., so your answer would be 9 a.m. So it will be that short. So apple from the tree. So then the question may come from where does apple fail from? So that kind of thing, and they just need to answer with the short answers. So it will be a that short. It just that they need to pay attention to those questions. There is no word limit or anything. This is not a written test, right? So they need a apt reply, be it on any section. I mean, there are multiple section as Kashish showed, right? So be in a grammatical section or anywhere, it's only apt response they are looking for. The only place where I mean, they need to be bit more elaborative is the last section where they will be given a topic and they need to talk about it for 30 seconds or so. So that's the only section where they need to be a bit elaborative. Elsewhere, it's exact answer is expected.
All right. So
I
candidates,
think
I hope
mostly it's gonna
now,
be
yes.
one word to maybe extending it to 3, 4 words, not more than that. I also seen since Akshay's talked about free speech section, I see some of the people are asking about free speech as well. So to just make you all understand a little more about it, it's like a topic will be displayed on your screen. You will be asked to prepare maybe a few lines or a paragraph on it. You will be given some time to think about it and just prepare your content and talk about it. So to give an example, maybe if a topic like is theoretical knowledge better than practical knowledge, if this is the topic, for example, or maybe is junk food bad for health is a topic, so you will be given a time around 30 seconds to prepare for that. And once those 30 seconds end, you will be asked to speak on that. What are your opinions, what do you think about the topic? And that way you just prepare your content and speak about it for around 45 seconds or so. So this is how free speech is gonna be. No restrictions, just your own thoughts and opinions about the topic displayed on the screen. So yeah, that is it.
So basically, any long question would only be the free speech section where you just have to speak a paragraph or so. Rest all the other sections would hardly be around 2 to 3 words or maximum one-liner statements. So need
That's
not
right.
worry about it. Yes, and the SWAR assessment would happen in batches. So we cannot accommodate everybody to give the assessment on one day. So you need to anticipate, just keep checking your mailers when we are sharing the credentials to each one of you. This session is has been curated just to help you understand that you know all the guidelines, you know the platform very well before you appear for the assessment. It's something that you can expect your mailers anywhere within this week. So the SWAR assessment would start in batches, and you can expect your batch to have the assessment any day. So just keep checking your emailers. And for all the instructions, we would be sharing the guidelines 2 to 3 days prior. You have that communication with you. You can go through the guidelines. You can watch out the demo video and make sure you have all the infrastructural requirements through before you appear for the SVAR assessment. Post this assessment, there is no technical round, there is no other rounds of interview. Your usernames and password would be shared on emails. So I would insist all of you, if you have queries related to the SVAR assessment, please put them in the chat box. Go through the guidelines, go through the videos carefully, and you need to clear the browsing history, disable all the other VPNs, and no other notification pop-ups should be running, no background applications should be running, and mobile phones are strictly not allowed to appear for the SVAR assessment. You can use just your PC, a laptop, or a computer. Do we see any new questions apart from these, apart from the questions we have already discussed?
Vanshika, I have one question on behalf of all the candidates. It was mentioned that the duration of the test is 20 minutes and the link will be active for 2 hours. There may be a slight confusion for the candidates. Given a 20-minute test to be taken in 20 minutes, or students will get 2 hours of time to complete this 20 minutes time. There we need a clarity.
Okay, just to answer that, so why we have given this 2 hour window, so the link which we are sharing via email will be active during those 2 hours only. Okay, so this 2 hours we have given as a buffer in case candidate face any technical issue during those allocated 20 minutes, right? So we may have encountered situation where candidate face issues and probably half an hour there is some power cut or internet disruption, something like that, and probably it get restored in hour or two, right? So then they get a chance to resume the same test where they left and continue. So that's why we have given this buffer, so they can finish their steps in this 2 hour, but the actual time on the test when it is actually live, it's 20 minutes.
Okay, thanks Akshay for clarification. I have a question attached to it again. If I start my test now and I'll take 20 minutes to finish it off, will this no page auto closes once 20 minutes over, or it will remain open?
There is a finish button once the 20 minutes over. The throughout the assessment, what happens, there is a specific allocated time for each questions. So unless if you don't answer that question in that allocated time, next question will automatically come. Same happens on the last question as well. If you don't answer that in particular time, it will finish. So it's kind of auto complete test.
Thank you. It's very much clear now. 20 minutes test to be taken in 20 minutes. If in case any students come across any issues, then the link will be open for 2 hours to complete. Thank you.
I hope we have answered all the queries. There are no new queries coming up. It's all related to the lockdown browser or system related queries. So we would request you to please go through the mailers very carefully. You will get all the guidelines prior to your online assessment. And once you go through the links, you have the demo videos, you have all the guidelines related to your browser or whatever needs to be installed. Please go through it once. And otherwise, you have the support technical email ID. You can connect with the team and they'll help you resolve your queries too. So team, are we left with any other queries or can we wrap up the session?
Vanshika, two more common questions are how many rounds of interviews candidates have to face, and what happens once they complete their SVAR assessments?
So this SWAR assessment is the final round of your interview. It's basically you have started off from the registrations, you did your online assessment, and now SWAR assessment is the final round, which you can count it as your interview or your final round of assessment. It is the same. So there is no other round after your SWAR assessment. Once you complete the SWAR assessment successfully, the last step left is only to generate your offer letters. And within 1 week to 10 days, we try to send out your results of the SWAR assessment as well. Naveen, is there anything else?
There is one more question. I know how many attempts typically candidate get to clear these SVAR assessments?
So Kashish and Akshay can take this up.
Yeah, so there will be only a single attempt, right? So they will get a single chance to clear this assessment. If they don't clear the assessment, they won't be a part of a hiring process anymore.
Got
Is
it.
there
Thank
any
you, Akshay.
negative marking? Is there any negative marking?
No, there is no negative marking. All questions are compulsory. They need to respond to that, and there is no negative marking to any of the section.
All right. So candidates, on that note, you have ample amount of time to prepare for this last round of communication assessment. You can go through the guidelines well in advance before you actually appear for the SWAR assessment. And you will be having the demo video as we discussed. We have already shown you one demo video in the session as well. Apart from that, if you have any queries, you can reach out to any one of us. And you can expect emailers coming very soon. So kindly keep checking your mailboxes, be it your spam folders or your junk folders as well. So on that note, we would be ending up this session today. I hope you would have scanned the QR code and you were able to submit your feedback for this particular session. So on that note, thank you so much. Thanks a lot to Akshay and Kashish for helping our students understand the guidelines about SWAR assessment. Thanks to entire campus team for being the part. Thank you so much. And if you have any queries, we will discuss. Otherwise, all the very best. Do well in your SWAR assessment. Hoping to share and release more number of offer letters to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, team.
Thank you all.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.